Yalalai, yalalai, yallai, lalai, lai, yallai, lalai, lai, yallai, lalai, lai, yalalai, yalalai, yallai, lalai, lai, yallai, yalalai, yallai, lai, 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 yai, lalai, lai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, lai. So here's the deal. We are gathered here in the auditorium of St. Francis College. We're a little bit of a congregation, a community of wandering Jews, as our building is under construction for the foreseeable future. It is certainly our hope and my hope that we will be back home by January of 2023. Who knows, miracles, nisim v'niflaos happen. Maybe it'll even be a little bit earlier. Um, as we gather for our regular Friday night services, we're here at St. Francis College Auditorium all the way up till Labor Day, and then we're going to be switching over to Our Lady of Lebanon social space, previously inhabited by the Brooklyn Public Library. So we are here for Friday nights and Saturday Torah study, Chavurah, and we want to encourage everyone to be present and participate and give voice, which is fine for all ages. If you have a prayer book, that's great. I don't have a prayer book page list on me, but Christian is going to be kind enough, as he's maintaining our AV link in our Zoom, he's going to be putting forward the slides, the PDF slides that we use each week. So if you like the prayer book, that's great. But if you just want to look up, you're going to find the words in English or Hebrew right up on the screen. So I want to invite Lisa Coppell to come on up and kindle Shabbat lights, our very first undertaking. Someplace we have that, right? Let's go ahead a slide or two. One, another. There we go. Beautiful. You can use the shamash. Amen. Yeah, the Hanukkah one, right? Yeah, that was great. Lisa and I were together over at Bright Horizons, our temporary home for preschool camp earlier today, and I did a session of welcoming Shabbat, which has been sort of in abeyance for a while because of COVID. So it was really nice to be back with a room filled with kids, and caretakers, and parents, and grandparents, and lots of noise and ruach and energy. Let's join together as we read responsibly in the next slide in the English. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. And there are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we are reminded that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. We join in the journey of the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat that recreate those 6 days of
the active creation process. And I think that you can find, if you, I'll try to at least occasionally throw out a page number, the first of them, Lechuna Ranana, you can find on page 12. That's Psalm 95. Lechuneranena, 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 ladonai, lechuneranena, 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 ladonai. Naria, naria, litzur yishenu nekadma, fana bitoda. Naria, naria, litzur yishenu, bizmiro naria lo. Lechuneranena, 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 ladonai. Lechuneranena, 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 ladonai. And if we go to our next slide, on there we go. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, umelo. Yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, umelo. As the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat move us forward, we approach an insertion in the Psalms, a composition, a piyut, a liturgical poem, L'chad Dodi, which envisions Shabbat not only as the ultimate day of creation, sacred time, but embodied and personified as sacred friend, beloved, lover, bride, queen, king, groom, whatever metaphor works for you, the one whose return you await each and every week. When we get to the last stanza, that's the 9th stanza in the book, pages 20 and 21, we're going to rise. If you're at home on the Zoom, find the entryway into your home, and we're going to, at that point, I'll give a little signal. We rise in body or in spirit as we are able, and invite Shabbat to come on in. So, L'chad Dodi, pages 20 and 21, are right up on the screen. L'chad Dodi likrat kalla, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. L'chad Dodi likrat kalla, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, ishmianu el hameyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem ultiferet v'litila. L'chad Dodi likrat kalla, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. L'chad Dodi likrat kalla, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelecha, ki mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof maaseh v'machshava tchila. L'chad Dodi likrat kalla, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. L'chad Dodi likrat kalla, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva ore, kumi ori, uri, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayik nigla, lechadodi likrat kalla, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela, lechadodi likrat kalla, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. I invite you to arise in body and or spirit, turn toward the entryway, and invite Shabbat to join us. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, boi chala, lechadodi likrat kalla, yalalai, 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 ben Shabbat nekabela, lechadodi likrat kalla, yalalai, 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 ben Shabbat nekabela. So having invited Shabbat to come in, we can do no less than take a moment now and wish one another Shabbat Shalom, and then reach across an aisle in front or behind and introduce ourselves to people we haven't seen in a while, or maybe never before. Reintroduce ourselves by name. So normally when we're in the sanctuary at BHS, I say you are now all inducted as ambassadors of Shabbat welcome, which means that for people who continue to show up, please say hello, point to the screen, make them feel welcome. If you'd like to have a, by the way, you know this, but I'll repeat, there's a lot of up and down, up and down. If you want to stay standing, stay standing. If you want to stay seated, stay seated. The custom of asking people to arise in body or spirit, of course, reflects when chairs were introduced, 1,000 years ago, into the sanctuary, and then people had options. In antiquity, there were no chairs. So, of course, we introduced chairs, and the first thing that happened is the service got longer. We are on page 22, or right up on the screen, Psalm 92, the Psalm for Shabbat. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat, tov leodod laAdonai, ulzamer leshimcha elyon, ulzamer leshimcha elyon. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat, tov leodod laAdonai, ulzamer leshimcha elyon, ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלינה ולעלי היגיון בכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך רנן. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני מאוד, עמקו מחשבותיך
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
I'll invite you again, as you're desirous and able, to arise in body and or spirit for the Reader's Kaddish, page 26, or right up on the screen.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ביעמד יברח חירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ויאמרו amen.
The call to worship, Baruch Hu, page 28.
Ya la 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 la, Baruchu et Adonai, Hamevorach, Baruch Adonai, Hamevorach, Hamevorach, Leolam vaed, Hamevorach, Hamevorach, Leolam vaed.
You're welcome to have a seat if you'd like. We are at the Ma'ariv Aravim in the English on page 30. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha-ma'ariv aravim.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amecha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Hukim u'mishpatim, Otanu lemata, Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbenu, ufkumenu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha leolam vaed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla, Yomam v'layla, be'avatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael. Pages 34 and 35. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. We join together in chanting Ve'ahavta, page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha
והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם emet. Page 39. Join together. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. The words of Mi Chamocha, the Song at the Sea, page 40. Mi Chamocha Bailim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nedar Bakodesh, Norati Lod Osefele, Norati Lod Osefele, Malechutecha Rahu Vanecha, Bokei Ayam Lifnei Moshe uMiriam, Ze'eli Anu Ve'ameru, Adonai Imloch Leolam Va'eriam, Bye Bye Bim 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 Bam, Yabba Bye Bye Bim Bam, Ye Bye Bye Bim Bim Bam, Yabba Bye Bye Bim Bam, Ay 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 Ay, Yabba Bye Bye Bim Bam, Ay 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 Ay, Yabba Bye Bye Bim Bam, V'ne'emar kifata Adonai et Yaakov, Ugalo mi'atazak mimenu, Baruch ata Adonai Gal Yisrael. We're on page 42. Join together in the singing of Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu is one of the rare prayers in the Matbea Tefillah that doesn't have a morning equivalent, and that's because it's only recited in evenings, Shabbat or weekday. If there is sort of an equivalent, it's the Modeh Ani that we recite when we get up in the morning. And Hashkivenu, although we're going to sing it in the Hebrew, the English on page 42 and the creative versions on 43 are worth paying attention to in our aspiration, not only that we lie down safely, but that the world, perhaps, when we arise tomorrow, will be a little bit better, a little bit more at peace. And of course, that requires our efforts. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmor tzeteinu uvoenu lechaim u'shalom me'ata v'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Baruch atah Adonai hapore sukat shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo, ve'al Yerushalayim shalom, ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo, ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai Apore Sukkot Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. The Shamru, Exodus 31, comes to remind us that yes, we do. Good. Seem to be missing the sheet up here, but you'll find it on page 44. When I work with my students who are studying to become Jewish, I point out that there are elements of Jewish life that we could possibly survive without. Bagels is usually one of them. Oh, I know. Don't yell at me about the bagels. But in truth, if we didn't have Purim, the world might not end. There is no Jewish people and there is no Judaism without Shabbat. It is that center point, that intersection of both ritual and ethics. It's not one, it's not the other, it's both. It is a reminder of the divine source of our universe. It is a reminder that we are creative laborers. It reminds us that we control the lives of many people around us. It's not just Shabbat for us, but we're reminded that it's Shabbat for all the people in our circle. And finally, we are reminded that in keeping Shabbat, we are offering a sign of our commitment to the covenant that was made with our people at Sinai, a covenant that has echoes back to creation.
V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. You'll find the words of the Kavanah for Tefillah, page 46. I invite you to arise in body and or spirit. Adonai sifatai tivta ufi agi tehillateh. Adonai, open up my lips, my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umkayem emunato lishenei afar, Mi chamocha bal gvurot umido melach, Melech meimit umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata lahachayot hakol. Baruch ata Adonai mechayeh hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalelu chasela. Baruch ata Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
If you'd like to remain standing throughout the remainder of Tefillah, I invite you to do so. If you'd prefer to have a seat, that's perfectly fine, as well as we join together in the English. Together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh haShabbat. Page 57, together, ever-present one. May we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, shotecha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, atov shemcha ulechana lehodot. And finally, the prayer for peace, Birkat Shalom. We'll sing Shalom Rav at the top of page 60. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol et u'b'chol shah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Baruch atah Adonai hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We praise you, Eternal One, for you bless our people Israel and all peoples, we pray, with peace. We take these moments now for our own silent prayer meditation. Traditional text to begin that journey, page 62, some contemporary settings on 63, and a blank screen to prompt whatever's in your own heart.
יחיו לרצון אמרפי וגאון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי וגואלי.
So it's summertime, which means that typically don't offer a formal sermon, make a few comments, and we have other things happening. So I thought we'd do a little bit of not Jewish geography, but Jewish timekeeping. How can you? Well, first of all, what month is it? Please don't tell me it's July. Av. It is. Av is which month of what number month? Okay. So, where are we in Jewish time? Well, we're at Matot Maseh. So, in one sense of keeping Jewish time, we are at the end of the book of Numbers. And I know that in a couple of different ways. If I keep track, right, 5 seasons, 10 or 11 episodes per season, that's what the Torah gives us, right? And we repeat, right, perpetual syndication, like Gilligan's Island, but maybe just with, a little bit of Yiddish chachma, just a little. So we are at the end of the book of Numbers. Tomorrow, traditionally, chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek, be strong, let us strengthen one another. And then tomorrow, if we're finishing the book of Numbers, that means tomorrow afternoon, what are we reading? We're in Deuteronomy, we're in Devarim, which tells us a whole bunch of things. So, Jewish time, we've entered the 5th month. The prophet Zechariah tells us there's a fast day in the 5th. Just to anyone remember the name of the month before Av? What was the name? What was the month that we just finished out with 29 days? We just finished out a month on Thursday night, Friday, that was 1 Av. So Wednesday night, Thursday, anyone remember Tammuz? Tammuz, right? Tammuz was the month. And so if you've been paying attention, the first month, not Toyota, Nissan, to help you remember that. Nissan is the first month of the year. It used to be called Aviv. Today we use Aviv to mean spring. That's the first month of the year, which the Torah tells us. That's because the new year falls like the school calendar in the middle of the year. Okay, you become a 6th grader in September, not in January, and we flip the years in the middle of the year on the first day of the second half of the year, the 7th month. 12 months, unless it's a leap year, and you have 13 months. Don't worry, we just call it, the names stay the same, so you don't have to worry, right? So the first month is Nisan, ER. No one knows what's going on in ER, except that you're maybe counting the Omer. Third month, Sivan. Anyone named Sivan? Sivan's a good name. Sivan, that's the month of Shavuot, right? So we keep track of the months based on their names, right? Tammuz, Av, 5th month. Okay, how do I know it's the 5th month? Because what's the month after Av? Elul. Elul is the 6th. I'm not doing math, I promise. It's not really math. Don't get upset. Sometimes that math produces that response. Elul is the month of preparation for what? The New Year, right? Ani l'dodi v'dodi li. I am my beloved is mine. That's the 6th month, the last month of the first half of the year. 6 and 6 makes 12. Sorry, that was math. The 7th month, Tishrei. Right. The month with all those holidays. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Shmini Atzeret, Simchas. I know. Okay. And then Cheshvan, which thank God has holidays in it, and Shabbat. So we're in Av. And we're in what's called the 9 days, because the 9th of Av, right? So from the 1st to the 9th, that's 9 days. We're also in a period called the 3 weeks, which began back on the 17th of Tammuz, which is traditionally, by the way, when the tablets were broken at the Golden Calf incident, right? So these 3 weeks are associated with the destruction of Jerusalem. And a lot of people, some people actually, for the 9 days don't eat meat, except on Shabbat. Shabbat you're permitted to. Rosh Chodesh, some people say you're permitted to, so there's, right, you can all have Shabbos dinners. But we're working our way to the destructions that took place, and things even after, like somehow Ferdinand and Isabel knew about Tisha B'Av, and they exiled. 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and Spain kicked out the Moors and Jews. That's the full rhyme that you didn't learn in school. So here we are in the midst of the summer, and what I do know is because Tisha B'Av actually is going to fall numerically next Shabbat. That's a problem. There's only one fast day that's allowed to fall on Shabbat. That's Yom Kippur. You can fast on Shabbat, Yom Kippur. You cannot fast on Tisha B'Av if it falls on Shabbat. So what do? Sunday. Fast on Sunday, because you're getting ready for Shabbat on Friday. That's right. So yes. So what happens though, and what's always interesting, is that we end up reading Deuteronomy. We get this transition. Although the reading of the Torah cycle often has nothing to do with anything related to holidays, the case of Deuteronomy does. We always get to Deuteronomy on the Shabbat before or the Shabbat at Tisha B'Av. And that gives us our countdown, because then we start working our way to Rosh Hashanah. For rabbis, we feel like the New Year, the high holidays. The moment you get to Deuteronomy, you're going, I only have so many portions to get to before I'm going to hit Rosh Hashanah. And here we are in the middle of the summer, and you're going, what are you talking about? It's the middle of the summer, and the holidays are late, right? September 25th. Nevertheless, we start looking back, because Deuteronomy is all about Moses' swan song. It's 5 sermons delivered by Moses over the course of the next weeks, looking backward. And I will say this, it is the book that gets the least reading in North America. If you were in South America or Australia, Deuteronomy gets a fair amount of reading because it's not holiday season. It's not summer vacation. But here we are in summer vacation, and this book, which is grand and beautiful and inspiring, and when we come to the end has very short portions, we forget about it. So I'm on tomorrow, and we're finishing Numbers. We're finishing Numbers tomorrow. Must say a double portion. But I want to invite everyone to show up all summer and hear Deuteronomy read, as we get to hear. Really, it's Moses's. What would we call it today, Lauren? You're sort of in the biz. What do they call it when we get the? Not so much a biography as it's like an op-ed piece from some Politico who stepped down. So that's we get like the when the president who goes out of office writes the first of the 8 books that they're going to pay their bills with. That's Moses is there. He is supposed to be up there on Mount Nebo, and he is reflecting, looking back at the moments of. Wait, did someone type in a Art? Art might have an answer. I spoke to Art earlier today. Art, do you have an answer for us? That's on the. Do we have on the Zoom chat? No. There. Can you please boost the gain? Oh yes. Okay. That's not. Okay. I can be louder. As if anyone didn't know that. Here's the other thing. We are also in the midst of the summer, which means we have a tendency to have strange letters that come out from the office. And so I know that typically we celebrate things like birthdays and anniversaries September through June, but I'm under the impression and am aware that a few birthday notices and maybe even anniversary notices may have gone out. So, Cheryl, I know that you're celebrating 21 again. Come on up. Is there anyone else who received one of these official letters from the office inviting them and telling them that they could receive a blessing on this Shabbat? Okay. 21, all over again.
And I actually came to services at BHS when I was in Grace Church.
Wow. And who is the soloist?
Marion.
Marion.
Blessed memory.
Marion was our soloist and also ran the office, of course.
And Blazer was around.
And his father delivering sermons in Yiddish.
So
Right.
we started here many years ago.
So let's offer a blessing. Cheryl, on the occasion of this significant birthday, we pray that the coming year should be filled with health and prosperity, happiness and insight. May the days that come reflect the wisdom of the years that have passed. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and guard over you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious always to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lach shalom. May God lift up God's presence, enfold you, fill you, grant you the blessing that is shalom, peace and well-being and fulfillment, and may you have all the joys of your family and loved ones in the coming year. Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, yehelanu, yehelanu, yehelanu. Olechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Olechol Yisrael. Let's say Shechianu together. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Shechianu V'Kiyamanu V'Gianu Lazman Hazeh. We give thanks to you, eternal our God, for granting us the gift of life, sustaining us in life, and bringing us to this joyous moment. Amen. Happy birthday.
I want to tell you one more factoid. I went to school here.
Do they have your picture hanging out there? I'll tell you funny stories. So obviously the school's been here a lot longer than long time. And when Dr. Macchiarola was the president here, I had the chance, there was stuff happening in the community, so I had a chance to meet with him and have a conversation actually about public education. And he was a gem, and I said, you know, Chancellor Macchiarola, he said, President Macchi. I said, President Macchiarola, he wasn't Chancellor of the school system anymore. I said, do you remember in 1977 when you kept the school system open and we had 36 inches of... And he looked at me and he gave me this huge smile. He says, I would do it again. That's what I remember, is trudging when he was chancellor. Anyway, so it was, and of course now one of the buildings is named for him. He's a blessed memory, but it was one of those New York moments that if you were born and raised in the city, and it was quite something. Anyway, with that in mind, we're going to, oh, thank you. You know, one of the things, the privileges of Jewish life is we come together and we get to celebrate with one another. In fact, it's a point I made recently at the office. We do a very, very good job, I think, of reaching out in times of sadness. We are trying to improve our organizational skills when it comes to wishing mazel tovs, also at times of happy occasions. It's not that we don't want to do, it's just we're much more organized for the sad things than the simchas. So we're working on it, and it's our intention to do at least as good a job, so we can say, you know what you always say at a sad occasion, say, of simchas, we should be gathered for a simcha, smachot. So hopefully many more simchas to come. I have names that I'm going to share aloud, and then I'll invite you to share aloud for prayers for healing. You can, if you want to follow, we're going to put it up on the screen. It's also in the book. You would think I would have it memorized by now, but of course I don't. You would think I could just find my way around this book after all these years. You can find the setting of Debbie Friedman's version of the prayer for healing on page 260 something, or 253, middle of page 253. We share aloud these names. Prayers for healing, whether minor Modest or Major, Stuart Kaplan, Lori Blum, Gloria Sancho, Jenny St. George, Chava Gittel Bat Freda, Yona Chaya Bat Miriam, Ruth Bat Binyamin V'Chava, Steve Brown Inns, Yona Tevya Ben Label, V'Gita Henya, Renee Fishson, Moshe Ben Leah, Nancy Lazar, Delroy Aline, Max Estroff, Chaika Bat Freda, Chaim, Kim Petchek, Peggy Einhorn, Bruce Nygren, Eleanor Shapiro Nygren, Bela Rivka Bat Shmuel Pesach Esther, Susan Sonkin, David Stephen Cohen, Andrea Feller, Peter Hort, Vlada Rusev, Nick Boyer, Eileen Dernfeld, Tom Walton, Chris Adam, Tim Weber, Jay Wertheim, Ari Gilbert, Michelle Goldsmith, Richard Nicholson, and Shani Sokolov. If there are other names you'd like to share aloud. We join together. Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu Mekor habracha lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may be God's will. We offer prayers for our nation and for the state of Israel. Together, O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country sound in body and spirit. Amen. Together, O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Grant them deliverance from every adversary and danger. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. I'll invite you, if you are desirous and able, to arise in body or spirit for our concluding prayer. Aleinu, page 283, page 283.
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 284.
שהוא נוטש שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומשה ביקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ממלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתהלך. אחת אין עוד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We offer a meditation before Kaddish. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, a holy thing. It is a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, holy thing, to love what death has touched. We call to mind on this Shabbat these recent passings. I'm saddened to share the passing of a former member, Irving Gottbaum, just learned of today from Julian. We also call to mind in Shloshim the passing of Nahoma Nikki Rosenbaum, the mom of Dan Rosenbaum, Esther Kosakov, the mother of Sharon Kosakov, Faith Dorfman, the mother of Diana Deutsch, and Robert Lewis, the father of Carolyn Ziegler, also Aviva Mendelssohn, grandmother of our Hebrew specialist Shiraz Biggie. We also call to mind, forgive me, the yardsites of those that fall at this season of the year. Siggy Roth Strauss is recalled by Cecile Hanft. Roberta Slade Greenberg is recalled by Robin Slade at Gabay, Jesse and family. Jerome Friedman is recalled by Shelley Kruth. Martin Lakowitz is recalled by Rhonda Epstein. Toby Drucker is recalled by Rachel Gurvitz. Beverly Kruth is recalled by David Kruth. Frederick Schneider is recalled by Harriet Weinberger and the congregational community. Yona Linder is recalled by Mark Linder. Ella Quinton is recalled by Susan Gold. Miklos Arado is recalled by Cynthia Arado. Eric Leopold is recalled by Jackie Leopold. Charisse Dawn Sirot is recalled by Jan Erica Bertish. Bessie Pemstein is recalled by Ellen Pemstein. Charlotte Wasserman is recalled by Rabbi Suanne Wasserman. Fanny Hersfeld is recalled by Stanley Hersfeld. Ethel Brenner is recalled by the congregation community. David Glickman is recalled by Doug Glickman. John DeWall is recalled by Gary DeWall. Rachel Avram is recalled by Mike Avram. Melvin Seinfeld is recalled by Lee Muccio. Claire Shoyak is recalled by Sandra Roth. Deborah Scheusman is recalled by Rachel Schnall. Jonas Slade Gabay is recalled by Robin Slade at Gabay, Jesse and family. Estelle Rabin is recalled by Jerry Armine Klein. Bernard Schlossman is recalled by Rachel Schnall. Alfred Basunder is recalled by Allison Basunder. Leah Zabar is recalled by Robert Weiss. Martin Friedman is recalled by Don Shacknai. Bessie Fischler is recalled by the congregational community. Jean Newhouse, recalled by Robin Slade at Gabay, Jesse and family. Mary Ellen Lieberman Nerlov is recalled by Maxine Rakov. Nina Weisbrod is recalled by Faye Honor. And Simon Sofer is recalled by Idil Hakim. If I have inadvertently mispronounced any of these names or failed to share aloud the name of a loved one for whom you are reciting Kaddish on this Shabbat, I want to invite you to share those names aloud as my hand comes across the congregation. We sanctify their memories even as we sanctify God's name and pray for the coming of God's realm. The words of the Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. We join together as a community, page 294. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayei chon uv'yomei chon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael b'agalau v'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach Leolam Ulamei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei Dekudsha Berichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'yalma v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei Shalom b'mromav hu yaseh Shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace causes peace to reign on high, cause peace to descend upon us, all Israel, our entire world, and let us say, Amen. Oseh Shalom b'mromav hu yaseh Shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru imru. Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael ve'imeru. Amen. And again, please be seated. We have no announcements. We are in summer service mode. So Adon Olam can be found on page 321. Page 321. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'ed Nasa V'chevtso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimlok Nora Vehu haya, vehu hove, vehu yeh b'tifara, vehu yeh b'tifara, vehu echad ve'en sheni, להמשילו להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, בצור חבלי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו אפקיד רוחי, ביד אישן ויעירה, והמרוכי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא, אדוני לי ולא יירא. Shabbat Shalom. Please join us up the ramp right outside as we make Kiddush. Thank you, Christian. Hinne matov umanayim